Ernest Hemingway's A Farewell to Arms. This is a full book review of A Farewell to Arms. Now, A Farewell to Arms is talking about a farewell to firearms, as in guns or weapons. And of course, with that farewell to arms, was able to go ahead and create one of the greatest masterpieces of our time. It was Hemingway's second masterpiece, his masterpiece being The Old Man and the Sea. Also, that was the last book he's ever written. It is his very first masterpiece. I say first as in the sense that it's his best. I say second as in the sense that it's his second best. With this book, he was able to go ahead and recount his own travels in Italy, part of the Italian army, while being a Red Cross ambulance driver, as well as going ahead and helping soldiers and other deities, such as wounded people from either side, to go ahead and heal them. And once we have healed those people, we could go ahead and learn lots of things about them. In the end, though, we go ahead and learn loads of things about this guy. We learn that Ernest Hemingway went ahead and taught people about things. We learned that he went ahead and had pretty much loves. Also, he had 4 of them. As soon as he loved one, he would love someone else. And then once he loved that person and married them, he would love someone else. On 2 occasions, he divorced on purpose. On 1 occasion, his wife divorced him. On the 3rd occasion, on the 4th occasion, he went ahead and died before he could do anything about his 4th wife. What happened to Hemingway in A Farewell to Arms is all described through the eyes of Henry, a character named Henry, who he modeled on himself. Through this fictional version of Ernest Hemingway, we learn about his own little life during World War I Italy, where he went ahead and got damaged and will get a bunch of medals. And getting those medals, we would go ahead and elevate his social status, but he would have to abandon them later to go ahead and go undercover while deserting the army. He would go ahead and reflect stuff in the hospital. While he became a Red Cross patient himself, he himself would later go ahead and learn about other things in his own life. While they were gearing up and arriving for war, he would go ahead and try to slink away, which is very different from the beginning, by the way. In the beginning, Henry was one of the most enthusiastic people about the war, and he looked down on people who thought that they were over with war, thinking that they didn't know how to be excited, or they were just too tired of it. But then later, he himself, after getting wounded, after getting tired and sick of it, and separating from his loved ones, he himself finally realized that he was, too tired of war too, became one of those people, and he finally became one of the most tired people on the earth. He wasn't too tired, though. He would go ahead and talk with his concubine. I'm pretty sure she calls herself his wife, but they haven't officially married. But in the end, this is exactly what happens to us. Death was obviously one of the major themes in Ernest Hemingway's A Farewell to Arms too. Death itself isn't exactly a major theme. In fact, this whole book itself doesn't really rely on themes. Hemingway's writing style was always quick, direct, and doesn't really like adjectives and doesn't really like long, lengthy descriptions. Here, instead of simple, he would go ahead and do something similar to those symbols too. Technically, these are symbols too, but he would rather call them something that doesn't exactly represent something. It's just supposed to invoke a feeling of something. It doesn't directly represent it. With it, he was able to go ahead and allude towards things too. Rain, when Catherine says that she was scared of the rain, it was probably because she was probably saying something on the lines of, I'm scared of losing people in this dark, despairing world. Other allegories are introduced, but I will definitely not be able to talk about them. When Henry went ahead and got his Catherine pregnant, he was going to be in for a ride. But then when the baby finally was born, it was a stillborn, and Catherine had a wild night and was very sick. He hated the baby, and he really didn't want Catherine to go away. But then she did. She died of hemorrhage a few minutes later. This devastated Henry, obviously, but we never described about it too. He did try to say goodbye, but it was already too late. Or maybe he just couldn't. He couldn't say goodbye. And when she finally died, he realized that maybe this was all just a game. He may have almost become a father, but he would never be able to go ahead and go through something like this again. This will probably leave a scar on his mark too. Hemingway never had to deal with this part. In fact, the part where they they made the baby, the day when they made the baby, the actions that they did to make the baby never happened in Hemingway's life. He was engaged with a nurse, but then after the war was over, he tried to get her to his place, but then she said that she was going to marry someone else, so that never happened. And then Hemingway just moved on. He lived and lived and lived, married older women, and then finally landed upon several different places, which is where he got to himself today. He himself will get medals of honor, he himself will get medals for journalism, and he himself will be able to go ahead and go down through history as one of the greatest American authors of all time. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Hunter and Sean. I hope to see you guys soon in the next episode too. Until then, Sean out, peace. Bye bye.